米国に入国する何百万人もの旅行者は、新たに$250のビザ保全手数料を課せられることになります。
米国に行くなら覚悟してください。$250余分にかかる可能性が。米国を目指す旅行者は、間もなく高額なビザ手数料を支払わなければならない可能性があります。
Curiosity always rises when a small decision begins sending ripples far beyond its original intent. That is what brings everything together here. A cost so minor that most people barely notice it, an added fee on a travel document, has quietly spread across the country, touching cities in ways no one anticipated. Crowds are thinning. Seasonal patterns feel interrupted. The familiar flow of people arriving from every corner of the world has slowed to a pace that feels unfamiliar. The shift is subtle enough to avoid headlines, yet strong enough that many communities can sense something slipping away today. As each city's story unfolds, you begin to see how this one change disrupted the delicate machinery of local tourism. And from those stories rises a larger question in the background. What happens to a nation's identity when the world no longer arrives in the same way it once did? It started with a number that looked harmless, $250. A fee added to American tourist visas in July 2025. Few imagined that a figure so small on federal paperwork could influence an industry worth over $1 trillion. But that is exactly what has happened. International travelers, already sensitive to cost and convenience, began choosing other destinations. Cities that once thrived on foreign curiosity now face a slow, unsettling quiet. Hotels stay dim at night. Restaurants take fewer reservations. Staff who used to welcome long lines of visitors are losing hours, and in many cases, their jobs. The diversity once felt through accents, cuisines, music, and street life is thinning day by day. This is not simply a story about a visa application or bureaucratic adjustment. It is a look at how a seemingly small federal change can destabilize entire systems built on global movement. In this unfolding narrative are 10 American cities that once carried the pulse of international energy and now feel that momentum slipping because of a fee no one expected to matter. As you follow the effects in each place, the curiosity becomes personal. Could your own city be part of this shift? Or will it become the next name added to the growing list? The first city once carried the warm, unmistakable spirit of the Southwest, Tucson, Arizona. Travelers came for the desert sun, the vast open landscapes, and a local culture shaped by centuries of indigenous, Mexican, and frontier history. That atmosphere has changed. Streets around the main visitor corridors no longer echo with familiar crowds. Traffic lights cycle through empty intersections at hours that once felt lively. A sudden 32% drop in international visitors reshaped an entire season before local businesses even understood what was happening. Close to 40% of tour operators, rental agencies, and activity companies reduced their staff or pause operations altogether. For a city whose economy leans heavily on foreign visitors, that decline felt like a hole with no clear bottom. Many travelers from South America, once a consistent part of Tucson's market, now find the visa fee too steep relative to their travel budgets. A guide who once greeted groups from Brazil, Chile, Argentina, and beyond now begins each month with an empty schedule and a quiet phone. The visitors who do still come often arrive from neighboring states, which shifts the city's tourism profile entirely. The international blend that once defined Tucson's cultural rhythm is fading. The policy responsible for the shift, known as the integrity fee, was intended to increase security and accountability. But the ripple effects tell a different story in cities like Tucson. With fewer guests, service quality declines. Smaller hotels struggle to stay open. Once lively desert tours now move through silent landscapes, the only sound the wind brushing against the sand. People who visited years ago remember the hum of tour vans, the clusters of families gathering for sunset photos, or the variety of languages drifting through open-air cafes. The atmosphere now feels heavier. Many visitors who once shaped the city's identity exist only in old travel albums and memories, and Tucson is only the beginning. Another city once prepared with soaring optimism for the world's arrival in 2026, Spokane, Washington. Known for its mountain views, calm rivers, and lush summer greenery, Spokane built its reputation as a peaceful escape for travelers seeking festivals, outdoor recreation, and clean air. But the first summer after the visa fee took effect delivered the opposite of what local tourism leaders expected. J1 visa holders, many of whom fill crucial seasonal roles, fell by 40%. Resorts that depend on international students to keep operations running through peak season reported that more than half of their facilities face staffing shortages. Without housekeepers, kitchen staff, receptionists, or seasonal guides, maintaining service quality became nearly impossible. Declining service and discouraged new travelers, creating a feedback loop no one were prepared for. International visitor arrivals dropped by nearly 35% according to regional tourism officials. Resorts that once buzzed with activity now run at a noticeably slower pace. Local business owners have taken on roles they never imagined. One resort owner described folding blankets, cleaning rooms, and working the front desk himself because the usual seasonal workforce never arrived. The resort had invested heavily in improvements, but the people needed to support them was simply missing. Meanwhile, New Orleans, a city defined by culture, rhythm, and the world's fascination with its unique identity, has also begun to feel the shift. Once overflowing with international visitors drawn to festivals, food, and history, even this cultural capital is sensing an unmistakable change. The French Quarter, Congo Square, and the historic neighborhoods around them were shaped by voices, flavors, and traditions carried from around the world. That global vibrancy has begun to fade. Ticket sales for major festivals that once relied on international audiences have dropped by more than 40%. The city's foreign visitor numbers fell by 35% soon after the visa fee took effect. Street musicians still play, but now many perform for smaller, quieter groups. Jazz sessions that once required musicians to coordinate overlapping schedules now struggle to attract even a handful of listeners. Without the energy that international guests bring, the atmosphere of the city feels undeniably different. Domestic travelers still arrive, but the global presence that made New Orleans feel unlike any other American city cannot thrive without the diverse audiences that once defined its character. The substantial share of the city's revenue depends on food, entertainment, hotels, arts, and cultural gatherings. When foreign attendees disappear, the economic pulse weakens. Artists lose opportunities, tour drivers lose shifts, and entire communities that depend on seasonal tourism begin to feel a slow, steady decline. Anyone who has walked through the French Quarter on a lively evening in the past would notice the difference immediately. A city once overflowing with laughter, music, and colorful crowds now moves at a noticeably slower rhythm, not because of a storm or a public health crisis, but because the world that once visited so freely can no longer do so as easily. Far from Louisiana, another city finds its international momentum slipping at a moment when global attention is crucial. Kansas City was chosen as one of the host sites for the 2026 World Cup, a rare opportunity that promised enormous economic and cultural benefits. In preparation, the city invested heavily in stadium upgrades, transportation improvements, and expanded hospitality capacity. Hotels increased room counts, businesses hired additional staff, and planners envisioned a summer filled with visitors from every corner of the world. That enthusiasm has shifted into quiet concern. Early projections show potential revenue losses exceeding $200 million from international visitors alone during the World Cup season. Tour package registrations from South America and Africa have fallen by almost half. Kansas City had placed significant hope in the worldwide visibility that a global event could bring. Yet a single federal policy has introduced barriers between the city and the visitors it spent years preparing to welcome. It feels like a stage built for a remarkable celebration, but without the global audience needed to bring the moment to life. While Kansas City grapples with reduced foreign attendance for a global sport event, Miami faces its own version of the same national problem. For decades, Miami embodied the essence of international travel. Its blend of Latin American culture, coastal beauty, nightlife, and world-class entertainment drew millions. Within months of the fee increase, arrival from Latin American countries dropped by nearly 40%. South Beach restaurants that once required reservations days in advance now have open tables throughout the evening. Local eateries report revenue declines ranging from 20 to 35%. Whether through hospitality, festivals, or cultural events, Miami's reliance on international visitors has always been central to its identity. Now, that foundation is shifting. Not far away, Orlando, built around the idea of enchantment, is also caught in a national downturn. The city's world-renowned theme parks once depended heavily on international students who came through J1 cultural exchange programs to fill essential seasonal roles. They kept rides running smoothly, staffed resorts, prepared meals, and helped maintain the immersive entertainment experience visitors expected. After the visa fee increase, participation in these programs dropped sharply, cutting seasonal staffing levels by nearly half. Parks were forced to adjust operating hours, reduce live shows, and limit services families had long considered part of the experience. Tour groups that once blended languages and cultures are now harder to form. Local guides report steep declines in daily bookings, and the economic losses extend far beyond theme park gates. International tourists support small shops, restaurants, local markets, and cultural events across the region. They contribute to Orlando's global identity as much as they support its financial ecosystem. When those visitors decline, promotional budgets shrink, reducing visibility even further and deepening the cycle. New York continues to shine with its iconic skyline, but the energy shifts when the world arrives in smaller numbers. On the opposite coast, Los Angeles is feeling a similar transformation. Hollywood, long seen as the epicenter of global imagination, now has fewer international visitors walking its sidewalks. In just 3 months, Los Angeles recorded a more than 40% drop in travelers from non-visa waiver countries. Group tours from Asia, once a central part of Hollywood's tourism activity, declined sharply. Small studios paused their tours due to dwindling interest. International film students who once filled classrooms and created long-term cultural connections now face financial strain caused by higher visa costs. Programs designed to bring aspiring filmmakers to the city have seen noticeable drops in applications. The creative spark that once fueled Hollywood's international identity now flickers in ways no one expected. The final city in this unfolding story has always embraced cultural connection, Chicago. It was one of the first cities to speak openly against the new visa fee when it was proposed. Yet despite early warnings, Chicago now stands among the hardest hit. Bookings from international visitors have fallen by 4%. Architectural tours that once filled boats and buses all summer long have seen nearly a 50% drop. Culture